Hey everybody, it's the Mad Master here. I'm doing a video today, and this is kind of just like a last goodbye to my former job and just a rant about it and what happened with it. And I'm not going to give away what company it was. It's a company that is semi-famous, semi-big, but nevertheless, I've had so much anger against the company that I almost want to sue them and just say, fuck you to the CEO and, all the people that were involved in what happened the last year or year and a half. So, to begin with, I started working at this company. I'm no longer working for this company, by the way. So, I started working for this former company then in 2011. And it was a call center job where you was inbound collections, and you would have to collect money from people. You'd get bonuses each month, though, if you collected a certain amount. And sometimes they were quite substantial. Like I bought music equipment the same month sometimes because I got such a big bonus and stuff. And it was in Madison, Wisconsin. This company. I'm not going to say what it was. I don't really care if people figure it out, whatever. But there was like a camaraderie. Like the people, it was like I worked for another call center, an insurance company. I'll just say that. I don't really care if people know what that is. American Family Insurance. I don't give a fuck. Years ago, and they had turned to shit as well over time. I worked there for 8 years, and just it seems like these companies, what happens, it just becomes like it's almost like cyclical. Because at first it's like they're in a building, they're in a building or a situation where things are pretty good, and then they started cutting costs, and just the people start getting shittier, and like the management and all this stuff, and then sometimes it gets taken over by different management, and that happened with my last job. So I was actually fired from American Family Insurance, but it's fine. Doxing myself, I don't give a fuck if people know about that. But this current job, or not this current job, my former job that I quit, my last day was March 17th of this year. And I was like, originally it was cool, you know. You had you had these other duties that you had to do during the day, and you had 15 minutes to do it. You could take time off the phones, go to the bathroom. You could do a lot of stuff. It wasn't like they weren't like tight ass about all that stuff at the time, at least, pun unintended. But then, I mean, things. It was stressful because a lot of people are assholes. So it's inbound collections. The people were calling to pay their cell phone bill, but they were directed there if they were owing us money or phone was suspended for non-payment. And it was cool. It was pretty. I'm pretty quiet at work usually, so I wasn't. I didn't know a lot of people. But then, these people were all from Madison, and they were all decent people, or from the surrounding area. So then what happened is I learned credit, which is like running credit for helping run credit for store reps and stuff. It's a cell phone company. I'm just, I don't give a shit if people figure out what it is. Uh, like I said, hopefully not, but whatever. So then, what happened after that was, I liked the job. It was just, it was a good job for what it was. I gained weight because I had lost weight when I was fired from American Family, and over that time period where I was unemployed and stuff, because I didn't eat that much, and I exercised a little more too. I was down below 200 for a while. Holy shit! So what had happened? This is a long time ago, of course. But what had happened? I gained some weight because being in the call center. But there was a lot of benefits. Eventually, it became like one of the training people, and I helped train new hires and stuff. And we'd play games and stuff, and there was a lot of camaraderie, and there was like, it was in the company culture that we were nice, and cared about our employees and all this stuff. And there were the managers, they called them coaches at this job. Managers were all cool people. I mean, I remember one time this one manager gave me a bigger bonus just he just typed it in for no good reason. I don't remember what it was, but like people would do that kind of stuff. You know, they were flexible. You know, we had solutions that we would use, you know, to solve any kind of issues. And you know, I originally I didn't get the trainer, or as they call it, mentoring job at first. Then you know, I applied a couple of times and I got it, and I was really happy about that because it would give me time off the phones too. It was back to back a lot of the time, but it wasn't like you know, it was kind of a thrill making all this money and seeing what your bonus would be at the end of the month. So it kind of made up for some of the pain of the calls. And it was hilarious. Some of the people were really evil, you know, on the phone. But it was like there was a purpose and people were nice, you know, the employees and the managers were all good people. And then what happened was I became sort of a middle manager kind of thing called this financial services help desk, which you also help to credit. You would answer employee questions. They call into the help desk, and you would also talk to, say you wouldn't say that you were a manager per se, but you were kind of in a management position. Like when customers called and wanted to talk to a manager, you were the ones they talked to. And that was something I didn't get. I didn't get that at first either. They used to do this thing called backups. So you would get, you know, you would it was almost like sampling a position. You would have, you know, you would have these like sort of a temp role at this other position, and then you'd become a backup, which means if it got busy in that call queue, you would do that. And I was a backup for 2 fucking years with help desk before I actually became help desk, but it was worth it because Sundays were super slow and I was usually in help desk. I was super happy about that. I almost quit in 2018 because things were starting to get a little weird in the summer because it was getting really busy and it was kind of getting on my nerves, but it wasn't that bad. But then I got the help desk position full time in the fall, or you know, late or early winter or whatever. And that kind of changed my life because there were times that were like 20 minutes between calls at times. And it was like I got to read all these books and do all this stuff, and it was just like 2018 through 2019 was just a golden era of my life, you know. So then one of the, you know, so what happened was the you know, things were getting a little weird because one time this higher level manager who actually quit, I'll get to that in a little bit, but this higher level manager told us that we were going to be trained in customer service. And I'm like, we were already doing collections backup when it got really busy. We were starting to do that late 2019. And I was like, oh man, not this shit again. It didn't get that bad. Everybody groaned out loud in the help desk when we were put in that queue. And it was only usually a couple hours or something a week, but still it was really annoying because we had worked our ass off to get to that higher position. We didn't want to do the low duties again of the people, the front line people. So this guy said, oh, we're going to learn customer service and eventually everything or something. And how prescient his prediction was. But of course, that doesn't come until later. So, you know, things were going okay. You know, February, you know, it had some bad things happen to me in December through February of December 2019 through February of 2020. And then COVID hit. And the first thing that happened was we were put in this new queue called Event 8. And it had this whisper tone, Event 8, Event 8, Event 8. Because everybody had to take collection calls and all these other calls. They were just throwing the shit at us right away because COVID. And we had the option to go work at home. And what happened was I got so stressed out from being back in collections after years, you know, literally at least a year and a half, almost a year and a half of being out of it and being put back in there, like starting from square one, really pissed me off. So because it was back-to-back calls. Now I'll get to what I'm just gonna develop with this story. So I decided to go. I decided I'd go home sick that day because I was so stressed out about everything that was going on. It was March 19th of 2020, I believe. I went home, or March 18th, and then I started using my computer, to call, to work at home, and then finally, it took like 10 months to get to get the to actually, or about almost, maybe about 8 months to get the actual work at home computer, because I kind of dragged that out because I had to move and stuff. So the I'm trying to remember everything that happened. So basically, it went like this. So I was sweating in this hot attic room of my friend's house because the air conditioner was going out. 90-degree weather sometimes. Just like drinking all this water and going to take a piss, and just having the hell of a time. Then we had to do other stuff too. We had to learn how to do was it like making things available for phones available for upgrades? I can't remember, some kind of order kind of thing. Now at that point, the Madison people were all still with us, like all the Madison managers, the Madison people. It was still like the camaraderie was still there even at home, and it was kind of like I had this manager who gave me extra time off the phone because he knew I was, sweating to death up in that attic, so I could go take a piss, drinking so much water. I mean, it did get cold somewhat, but it was, it just was hell. So took all these calls. Now I was used to doing collections, so it wasn't that bad. And we were taken out of the help desk queue, and that was closed, until further notice because of COVID and all this stuff. We had these payment arrangements we do because of it and stuff. And then it was just hell. And he's like, I don't know when help desk is going to reopen, blah, 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 blah. He was honest, or maybe not. I don't know. But then what happened was, all of a sudden we were hearing rumors that, what happened was they got not the rumors, the CEO of this company decided, he was retiring early mid 2020. And, he was probably, I mean, I know he was a better CEO than who they have now, or who they had afterward. I just know for a fact. He's a pretty old guy, but, I think he knew what he was doing to some extent. And then what happened was this new CEO came on board, and things were getting really stressful for a lot of people, because some of these help desk people had been there 20 years and they'd been in the help desk 19 years or 18 years. So they were mad because they had to do all this collection stuff and some of this other stuff that they were throwing at us, which wasn't that bad at that point. It was still just like doing stuff in the system and, having to do stuff. We were still getting 15 minutes off the phone each day. We still had, and there was another thing we had. You got 5 minutes to log in, 5 minutes to log out at the end of the night. You could go into this thing so you don't have extra calls unless it was really busy. Those were two benefits that we had. We still had that at this point. It was like getting to be fall 2020. We were hearing that might be help desk might open at a limited basis. I was very excited, or people could do the chat or something, or get off the phones for a little bit. And I was excited about that, but it was just like shallow promises for us to get back to the job that we were doing. And then late in the year, it was announced that we'd finally learned customer service. And I knew that would be a nightmare because I had visited the Waukesha customer service, and it was a different culture. I mean, they're way more uptight about being on the phone all the time. People were less happy at this call center than the Madison one. Just less like cool people, like just not cool people. I shouldn't say that. Well, just like less. It just was less. It seemed more stressful. It seemed like, what the hell are you doing? It was just more blah. The call center was blasé. Like you go to the Madison Center, there's bright colors on the wall and paintings and all these cool things people would get as a team would do together. You went to this walk shop place. It was dour and dry and awful, and there was all these different metrics that they used that they didn't use in the Madison place, and it was customer service, so it was different. But it was kind of a nightmare when we went to visit. I was like, oh, I hope that never happens to me, that I have to work like this. So I was kind of hesitant, to say the least, but they said we would only be backup, and we would be returning to the help desk. So they opened this other queue called Event 8 or Event 7, and it was basically like the help desk again. And this was like December of 2020. December of 2020, they opened up this new thing, and I was like, okay, well, I'm taking help desk calls again. That's cool. And then January we'll learn customer service, and it's a fucking nightmare because it's completely different than financial services, and it's lame, you know. And they threw us a really shitty bone, not a bone. They threw us for a loop after that because, for one, they did not put us. A lot of people didn't even take customer service calls, even though they were trained on them. So we got no practice doing it. And we did the 2-week training, and a month passed by, and we maybe took like 5 calls. But then things were getting busier and busier again on calls, and it was just getting really stressful. And then we find out, for one, the shift prep, as they used to call it, the 5 minutes before, when you're starting your shift, to get on the phones and stuff, 5 minutes after, was gone. No more shift prep. No more watch list time, which is 15 minutes off the phone to do additional stuff, like even call customers back and shit. Like, this is like serious things. Not only that, but they were cutting bathroom time, like what they call personal time. And they would, dock you for that. Because they used to give me an hour personal time a month. This is other than breaks. So, like I said, that previous manager, he kind of like tied it into the watch list time, and like tried to like really keep track of it so I could take a piss, because I was drinking so much water because it was fucking hot in the attic room. He knew that. He was understanding. So they cut it down to like, well, okay, so that I'm going to explain this because I had this manager. So this is kind of an interesting thing. So they told us they're merging the 2 departments together, help desk and customer support solutions, which is basically you answer people's questions still like help desk, but more customer service people, and then you also have to talk to customers to retain them as a customer and give them all these deals and shit. I'm just like, oh my god, this is fucking lame. So pretty much in an order, and the training for that was pretty bad. It was like half a week or something like that. And then they put all these people that were doing retention and CSS into credit, which I had done for years, and a lot of people on help desk had done for years. And they gave them like 2 days training. So they were fucking up all this credit stuff, and they didn't know what they were doing. Just like us on the other side of the company were fucking up all this retention stuff and doing all this bad stuff. And they had all these metrics and guidelines and all this shit. And everybody from the former help desk was doing really shitty. But anyways, I'm going to get to the real meat of the matter here. So, pardon the people outside swearing and, whatever. But anyway, so what happens is most of the help desk, which was but like 20 people, or like, it was like 15 to 20 people. I think it was like 14 or 15. Like 13 of those people, or not 13. Okay, so let's say it was like, trying to think of it. There were 13. Okay, I'm sorry. I fucked that up because there was other people that quit too. I'm confusing that. 13 people quit from the help desk, and there was only like 20 people in the help desk because they just couldn't stand it. They just quit, like within a couple weeks. And the guy from the help desk, one of the managers, the coaches, who was going to help the transition, quit as well. All of a sudden, because he was going to help with the transition. So basically, we had all these people from the South who were our bosses now, like from Tulsa, Oklahoma, and like fucking somewhere in Tennessee. I forgot, Knoxville, Tennessee. And these people have a different culture and different lifestyle. Plus, they worked for this company that was really becoming like more about like your metrics, and you have to they care about the bottom line, all that stuff. So it was really stressful because you would not meet the metrics. You would have to do this and that and learn this. The training was awful for the CSS. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I even said fuck on the first call. I got warned about that. But the miracle of that moment was there was this manager from Iowa. She wasn't part of the Madison thing, but she was really cool because there was also an Iowa center. She was really cool and actually like cared about where I came from with the help desk, and she let me have more time off the phones and stuff. But then, a couple months later, she changed jobs within the company, so it was all these southern fucking douchebags and bitches, illiterate too. Like some of them just couldn't like spell. It's like it was just this woman couldn't talk. One of my managers. So then she told me, "Oh, you have 20 minutes of personal time off the phones," and I was working 10-hour days. And I'd have 6 hours between breaks sometimes, or 4 hours. And it's like, okay. So I have to do this thing called after call work where I log off, or I'm not taking another call, and then that gets measured and that goes against me too. So it's like, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. I tried to get away. My performance was getting bad. And more people were quitting, the front line and the former help desk people. And just the mismanagement and just like the communication. So this is what would happen. There'd be some weird situation that came up with phones or with stuff like that. And this was all done remotely, by the way. Just keep this in mind, because remote learning is a lot harder for a lot of people, So you'd have a customer question that you couldn't get answered because you couldn't find it online, like on your internet, like intranet. There was no answer to it because it's like great, this gray area outside the box kind of thing, or some kind of thing you couldn't even find because your guides aren't even updated from 2019, and there's some new policy that they did and they can't even explain it, and then the managers are fighting about it anyways, and all this bullshit happens. So this is the situation with that. I would type in the chat like, "Can someone help me?" 4 hours later, after the customer's already gone, and I couldn't even call them back because I have to take back-to-back calls. Can I get off the phone? I asked the manager after this woman from Iowa because she was actually great, but the people after that is a competent fucking southern bitch. She couldn't even talk proper English, even though she. So, anyways, I mean, and a lot of the people just didn't know what the fuck they were doing in upper management either at this point. And no Madison people were left, and like so they would answer like 5 hours later, 10, sometimes the next day. And then people were asking all these questions in the chat, nobody was answering. And then credit people didn't know anything about credit on the other side. They were fucking up all these credit reviews and calling fraud, which is another department, the only department left in Madison as of 2 months ago, by the way. So it was just a nightmare, and it was just a lot of people were just yelling and threatening to shove their phones up my ass and all this stuff, and can't they get another phone? And I was like, dude, I didn't sign up for this. The money was good, and it was so stressful, and people were telling me they thought of getting therapy from it, and just like all this terrible, painful shit, like, and people kept quitting, people kept quitting from the Madison teams. And it turns out that every Madison manager, which is like 20 people, either quit or got another job within the company. And there's only like 3 left. Everybody fucking quit. Madison's no more, pretty much, except for people that were still doing collections or, And on the help desk, there's only 3 people left, I believe, or 3 or 4. because I left. I got the fuck out of there. I was happy to go, but it was emotion. They did not care about the attrition. They did not care about our suffering as employees, and they did not listen to what we wanted, making changes, and people were fucking things up. And this is the main thing. It's like, if I'm not allowed, like I would get yelled at. Oh, it better not be more than 2 minutes off the phone if I wanted to call a customer back or something. Giving me all these these guidelines where I couldn't follow. It's like, okay, so I'm supposed to call customers back to help them out with this, but I can't get more than 2 minutes off the phone. It's like, or just certain situations that were like totally contradicting the other, and it's just a nightmare. Not to mention 20 minutes to take a piss outside of your breaks a month, or take a shit or whatever. That's like abusive work environment. I know it's not. I know it's at home, but it's just bullshit. And come to find out, they're losing their profitability this year, and they're doing mediocre as a company. People are complaining about their cell phone service all the time. They're losing their strength. Verizon's better, than this company. I'm not going to say who it is. Probably guess now, but this fucking it was a nightmare, and people were they were condescending me, like these managers that I had after the woman from Iowa. They were saying, oh, I don't know if you're gonna, they were giving me these hints that I'm gonna get fired and all this stuff, and just like discouraging me and just chewing me out over stupid little things, and just doubting me as a person, and it made me feel like shit. And not to mention the customers were assholes. So I thought about suing these motherfuckers and getting like a class action lawsuit. These fuckers deserved it, and whoever made these decisions, I should say, not the managers. I mean, they're dicks, but they're just people doing their job. But it was hell, and when a company loses half its employees, maybe they should, out of voluntarily loses half its employees, maybe you should pay fucking attention. But they didn't do that. I asked about that. I complained. They didn't know what the fuck. Half the time I mentioned a policy that we had known for 10 years. A policy we learned in the Madison call center that was like strict rules. Half the time, a lot of people didn't even know what I was talking about. And like, they were just like it was like they were making shit up as they went along. And then, of course, it's almost like gaslighting. Like, if you did something wrong, but you didn't know it was wrong, it's like, oh, we this has always been the policy. It's shit like that. Just little things, little pinpricks of bullshit. So it was hell, and I never learned how to do retention. There were certain things in the system, in the computer system we use. Not to mention, it's antiquated. I've heard too. I was reading on a forum, like the stuff they use is like Java and shit, which is like not even supported anymore. Like, there's a lot of stuff that they're doing completely shitting on themselves. And they could do all the undercover boss episodes they want, but the company is losing its fucking meaning for, it's totally against everything that it was about when I began. Like integrity, honesty, caring, compassion, all these things. And I tried to get into the fraud position, and to add insult to injury, it took me like, it was like I got one interview, I didn't pass, because the fraud position was the only one actually still in Madison with people I knew. And I knew that would have been more old school, like the policies and the way they did stuff. But then the second time I was invited to interview, but the guy picked someone else who was on my help desk team. And I was like, it was a choice between me and him. I even talked to one of the guys that heads the department. He's like, yeah, I know, things are really going crazy here. And I've had people tell me it's not what it once was, like from 20 years ago and all this stuff, and people complaining about it and saying, get the fuck out of here, it sucks, it's hell. People just like threatening, and the time, trying to get time off, and now is extremely difficult too, like all this stuff, just everything changed and everything went to shit. And it's like, it's hard to actually really articulate exactly everything that happened, but it was so shitty. I wrecked a record player. I threw like a book, like a textbook, like when I lived in that attic, and my record player, and wrecked it. And I threw stuff here too. This newer apartment. Cause I was so pissed. I was ready to fucking just like smash. I was ready to take that computer, the work computer, and get the axe to it and smash it, because I was so, and go to the call center where, and you know, then they said, we're going back to the office, guys. We're going back to the office. It was like over the course of like a year and a half, where this promised date never came. You know, now I'm working at a place that only worked at home for like a couple weeks. This is pretty funny. But there's this promised date to go back to the office, and you know, it was kind of funny because they kept saying that they were gonna go back to the office on this such and such a date, and it came. It's like, no, we can't because of COVID. Oh, you know. And then it turns out they're back in the office, and then they did the vaccine shit too. Like, we want to know your vaccine information. I'm just like, okay, I'll fucking upload this stupid card to the website, and it's just, it felt so icky. And I'm just like, they're totally into that. I mean, it's like this company I work for now, they never asked anything about that. They have some company they background check, so who knows with that, but you know, they background check with, but you know, they never asked a thing about it. So I'm just like, whatever. But it was really tacky, you know, because they talked about all this stuff, and then you didn't have to wear a mask if you were vaccinated, all this bullshit, you know, for a while in 2021. And it's just like, if you were back in the office. But the back in the office thing happened in April this year. But guess what it is? 2 days a month. Then why fucking use all that space? 2 days a month. Oh, we're gonna go back for 2 days a month, even though all our managers are in Oklahoma and North Carolina, or in Tennessee. Now there's no Madison manager. It's like, you know. Well, I guess you get to see your friends for once in 2 years. You know. It's just fucking totally. I'm gonna use the word retarded. Don't get offended by it, but it's just like, it's just beyond fucking, just pathetic. You know, just like, I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. I live alone, you know, and those 10-hour days, 11-hour days, because there was an hour lunch, really got to me, you know, late at night, and I'd be so stressed out and so rattled by the customers and the fucking, like, having to like wait 8 hours for an answer to a question that never gets answered, really. And they would like all these questions that never got answered. Like, they never answered sometimes they would just never answer the question because they didn't know. It turns out that's what people have said. Sometimes they didn't even know because they just fucking they totally botched this transition to this other, you know, merging these two departments together or whatever. Totally botched it. I mean, if you have half the fucking employees quit because of some kind of merger, then something's fucking wrong, okay? And it was complete hell, complete chaos. So, I mean, I wish I could just go down south and punch that former manager, not the Iowa one, by the way, in the face. Brandon and fucking with Sandra, the fucking, the one that took over the fucking, I'm not giving the last name, obviously, but just like all these people, or what the fuck was her name? Veronica. That was the one that was incompetent and illiterate. But she was nice about the fraud interview, which is kind of funny. But these people are fucking idiots. And they're corporate fucking cocks, you know, suck the corporate cock. They're fucking whores. They don't give a fuck about people. They don't care about your fucking well-being at these companies. They don't give a shit. They just care about their bottom line, their stupid fucking family, and their bumfuck, you know, Tennessee town. No offense to people from the South, but it's just like, they didn't give a fuck about my feelings, about anything, or our feelings. They never explained anything. They never answered anything. They never said, oh, we're sorry about this, these changes, blah, blah, blah. They just acted like kind of callous about it. Like, oh, well, all companies have changes, fucking bitch. You know? It's like, why the fuck would you just destroy what you had here in Madison? It was great. And I'm not saying that I had to be on, you know, like I said, there was many times where I had to be on the phone, but there was time off the phone, and there was time to do stuff that you had to do. There's stuff with credit stuff, like you ran credit, you had to change stuff in the system, for those credit calls, and you didn't get time to do that anymore because they, they would, oh, you're off the phone. You would chat with, why are you off the phone? It's like, I'm off the phone to do this, this, and this. Oh, well, you've got to take calls. You had all these fucking metrics that were completely impossible to meet. And I was starting to meet somewhat at the end, but I was like, fuck this, I'm getting out of here. I'm happy I left. It was so bad. It was so bad. But, I'd like to take an axe that, I'd like to fucking just like, I want to take an axe to that remote work computer so bad. I'd like to sue the motherfuckers, man, for just being assholes to me for, a year and a half at least. I mean, you can say 2 years, like the COVID thing, but at least like there was some hope in 2020 with regards to my job and my life back then. And I could tell you, that when everybody quits in a department because they don't, they don't like what's going on, that should send a message to the CEO, him as that fucking ginger asshole, I actually like redheads, but I'm just insulting him somehow. You can probably figure out who the fuck it is by now, but anyways, undercover boss, ginger asshole, cell phone company, Madison, I don't give a fuck. I don't care. They could sue me. I'll sue them back. Fucking assholes. I'm just saying, it pisses me off. So, but now, I'll have to say, nobody's going to watch it from there anyways. Who cares? But especially 36 minutes of it, they'll be like, But now what's happening, I feel so much different. Like, it's just like, I have I mean, I'm not going to call it PTSD, but it's like almost like a weight has been lifted, because it's like, I expect my manager to be that bitchy, and she's not. I'm like, oh, because like today I had that happen. Like, don't worry, I'm getting things done. Oh no, I'm gonna get those. I'm not gonna say what I get done, but because I don't want to dox this new job by any means. But I don't get these things. I'll get these things done. You don't worry. She's like, oh yeah, well yeah, whatever. Like, it's like I expect them to be like they were at the former job, like just totally like chewing me out and shit for not doing shit, and they're not. And it's like you expect. It's like an abused wife, who expects a slap, but there's like just patting you on the back, like, ah, that's what it's like. That's what this new job is like. It's like fucking, you expect to get slapped, or you expect to get hit, from these people, but you're not. And I'm so much happier, and I'm in person. I'm in person with no masks, at least for now. I don't fucking know what's gonna happen with that, but anyways, that's not what this video is about. But yeah, it was a hellish experience, and it was and I don't know what they're gonna do. They gave us a raise. They gave me $1. I think they gave other people more money in the middle of 2021. Like, we understand how difficult this transition has been. Yeah, if you understood the transition, you'd give us like our breathing room back at the job. Get your shit together with, how you train people on this, and get some accountability for once. But no, it's just chaos, disorder, and bullshit. Even with the raise, they couldn't fucking bribe me. I'm making $2 less, almost $2 less now. Plus, none of you had quarterly bonuses after when the help desk thing came about, or a couple years ago, or with the CSS thing. So the whole thing was, they couldn't pay me enough. They couldn't pay me enough to stay. They couldn't. Like, if they would have said, oh, you're gonna be paying, so I was making like $22.83 an hour or whatever, after the raise. I'm like, you couldn't pay me, and I have to pay all this health. Like the new job has health insurance, and it's more expensive than this former place was. They couldn't pay me. If they paid me $25, I wouldn't go back. If they'd have to pay me like thousands, like I'd have to be paid maybe $50 an hour to even consider going back to that hellhole. Consider going back to that pain and suffering, because it was so bad. It was so shitty that I couldn't even. I mean, I'm going to be totally honest here, and this is a trigger warning. I was. I don't know. I'm just saying. I was like considering, like, at least like I wouldn't say like suicide per se, but like wrecking something, like wrecking a car, like trying to like just like driving, I don't know, like just destroying something. Like I was so pissed. It was so, I had like my fucking blood pressure was probably at a boil at that point. I was just like, it just, people don't really understand, maybe not understand what it was about, but you basically were insulted all day by customers all day, and you were like asked all these questions and yelled at, and people were said all this crazy shit to you all day. So, and then you don't even have the support of management, because at least with the Madison call center thing, that was the balance, because the people were so nice at the Madison call center, they gave you more flexibility, and you had these asshole customers. Well, it kind of balances out, but it was like double bad at that point, if that's a word. And it was so shitty. So I don't even know what I would have done. 2021 was the worst year of my life, because not only did you have all this contradictory things with COVID happening, you was like, am I going to be free or not? You know, next week, am I going to be able to go outside without a mask on, or go to this bar without having the vaccine card at the door, or whatever the fuck, you know, or limited capacity or whatever the fuck, or not even be allowed to go down the street without whatever, you know, and then, you know, all this, just all this bullshit, you know, you didn't know what was going to happen. I mean, if there was a short period of time in the summer that was kind of cool, but, you know, overall last year was the worst year of my life. Plus I lost I lost some friends, because they kind of just like, they kind of decided that they didn't want to talk to me anymore for various reasons. And, you know, some of them were political, and some of them were just because they think I'm some kind of asshole or something, because they're kind of an asshole, so they can't talk to me like a human being, I guess, you know, or like try to understand from my point of view, you know. Some of them have I mean, the people I'm talking about specifically have very much high levels of mental health issues. Not that I don't have my own issues, I'm just saying. So it was kind of sad, because I lost a social circle as a result, because I had this social circle with some of these friends that knew other people, and I sort of knew them tangentially. So I kind of lost a bunch of people last year, not from a disease, but from, you know, discussions about it. No, yeah, it's a little bit, but so it was a terrible year. And then something that will only be in my memoirs was going on too, and I'm not going to say, because I'm going to write memoirs, ridiculous as it sounds. But anyways, lesson learned, you know, if something's just going to shit, you just fucking have to leave. You just have to put your pedal to the metal and leave. Because I'm telling you, even with that first interview where I had to wear a mask, it was so annoying. I didn't know what was going to happen. I knew the mask mandate would be lifted in a couple weeks, but it was like, I was like, okay, I'm taking a risk here, taking a gamble. This in-person job, you know, for the first time in, you know, 2 years, I had, you know, going to have an in-person job. I did spend my last week at the call center, like the original call center, because there's people insultingly called residents that's still there. There's like 3 or 4. They call them residents. It's like fucking one flew over the cuckoo's nest or something. Like, what the fuck is wrong with this company, man? What the fuck? Why would you call them residents? Like, our mental health, like, we're residents. I'm a resident. This woman, Christine. She's like, they call us residents. And she was like fucking making fun of it. Like, oh my God, what the fuck is wrong with these people? So yeah, I'm so glad I'm out of there. I mean, as much as I want to smash up the company and like sue them and fucking just embarrass them, and like, I mean, I almost thought about just calling them and pranking them and shit and just like doing a bunch of stuff, but I'm not going to do anything, because I'm too happy, you know, being the fuck out of there, you know. But, you know, I always think about revenge. You know, I used to be taught like not to have revenge on people and stuff. Like, it's so bad, you know, all this new age bullshit I was brainwashed by as growing up. Like, revenge is bad, karma, blah. It's like, oh, I'd love to have revenge on my old company, you know, and do something, you know, like to destroy them. I'd only do it if I can destroy them as a company, though. Like, what I mean, like, is like totally wreck their stock or something somehow, you know, like if I had the capability to do that, or sue them for emotional distress. Because I swear, man, I mean, there's times now that I'm so used to being yelled at that it's like, whoa, this is weird, you know. It's like I look around, I'm like, you know, I expect I catastrophize because it's been so fucking like stressful over the years, even from the before that. I mean, before the transition at this company. But it's I'm so much happier. I'm making less money, you know, and I have to drive across town, but it's worth not getting fucking obliteratedly like destroyed by customers and managers. And that's just a lesson learned. Like these companies just have to, and this is happening in our society right now in America, especially. The masses are are riled up with all this bullshit. These, I mean, I'm not gonna say runaway capitalism, but as much as I hate to say that, it's like this type of like predatory capitalism, impersonal bullshit is, and that's the whole thing with the. I think it's partly related to the remote work thing because remote work detaches you from humanity. And I learn better in person. I've learned this job. I'm at the level of this job right now where I was 8 months in, 2 months in at this job, 8 months in with this transition, see at customers, whatever the fuck retention. I 8 months in at the last job. I knew as much as I do 2 months in at this job because learning in person, asking questions, being able to ask questions without having to wait 4 hours, and not having the customer like hang up or whatever. It's just like, oh my God. So I'm glad this fucking saga has ended. It ended on a sour note though, because I was there for 10 years. I was there from October 3rd, 2011 through March 17th, 2022. That's a long time at a fucking job. I do want them. I just want to see them fucking humbled, I just want to see them. If they started to like give their employees the treatment that we had back in the Madison, the days of Madison, there were Madison managers because all of them quit. And that guy that predicted we'd be in customer service quit too. And all the others of people quit, like these people that I knew for years, they quit. Obviously there was a lot of stuff with like scheduling, like they couldn't, people that had been there 20 years couldn't schedule like vacations like they used to too. I heard like, because they were all clustered together with all these other people they never met in their life and they talked on a computer, all this shit. But yeah, I mean, it turned to shit and I'm just blabbing, but I don't care. I'm going to put this video up. It's like, and I did a review for Indeed and it was deleted because it was inappropriate or something. I didn't swear or anything. And, but yeah, they can royally go fuck themselves and they could shove a phone up their ass. They're fucking antiquated, bad rollout of all the stuff they're trying to do. Just shit service, fucking shitty people in charge that don't know a thing about running a company, and like incompetence all across the board, like with the different departments. Now my prediction is what they're going to do. They're going to get rid of most of the US. I think they're going to like get rid of the US employees and just do the Jamaica and Philippines, which they're doing more and more anyways. They want to get rid of us. They wanted to get rid of Madison, I'm sure. Oh, that's just too much money, We want this profit margin, Mr. fucking ginger fuck, He probably wanted to, buy another yacht or something. Who knows? A fucking asshole. So fake, Thinks he's so cool, Man, it's just so. I know it's pretty negative, but I had to get this shit out because I'm just so pissed about this. So. It's just like, fuck these people. And, I never got it, any kind of like apology about all this stuff happening. Like, they give us maybe $1 raise. Oh my God. It's like, the system, you're fucking this up. You're fucking up customers' experiences by doing this too. You're not only fucking up my life, but you're fucking up customers. Because then we go on the phones pissed off. We can't make the metrics because we don't have any time between calls, 10-hour days, breaks that are 5 hours apart, have to like sort of run, take a piss and come back on after call work, just all this stuff. People complaining because I don't call them back because they always complain when I ask for time off the phone, or, I try to call a customer back like after a call and then, whatever. It's just like, or I can't get a hold of them, so I get another call. It's like another 10 calls. It's just like, and they don't even know what they're doing with all these old systems and stuff, and they're fucking still on Java. Fuck them. I hope they fail miserably. I hope they fail so miserably that they're like, some of those old like Netscape, Yahoo, I hope they're like, I don't hope the employees fail. I hope they get better jobs, obviously, but I hope they fail so bad that they have to fucking like. I hope the current CEO has to fucking retire and like not retire, but like quit, or he gets ousted, because he's such a fucking moron. That's about all.